Ciao guys, Cybertruck is about to be released later this week and maybe we will know more about Tesla plans. But I have one question that has been on the back of my mind for some time. Will Cybertruck be a thing in Europe? Will Tesla even bother to export it to the old continent? The answer is not so obvious, but today I'm trying to give an answer to it. So whether you are an investor or a potential buyer like me, this video is for you. Stick with me and let me know in the comment section below if you agree with my analysis. Let's look at the basics. If we look at the current pickups number in Europe, with less than 50k units sold a year, my off-the-bat answer would be hell no. Cybertruck will not sell a meaningful number of units, or at least not enough to justify its export here. Assuming even a 50% market share, this would translate only in less than 25k units a year. I also took some time and scrolled through the famous order tracker, which showcases a total estimated pre-order number of around 2 million units globally, and here only 1,341 are coming from Europe. These two factors alone would point to a very simple conclusion. Cybertruck will not sell much in Europe, to the extent that Tesla, in the light of the huge order backlog in the US, might decide not to sell it in Europe at all, or at least for the next 3 to 4 years. But understanding why pickups are not a thing in Europe, why they never managed to become so popular like in the US, might help us understand if there is hope for the Cybertruck or not. I think unsuccess of pickups boils down to two factors. First of all, pickups, as they are designed in the US, wouldn't be very suitable for Europe due to their fuel consumption and engine sizes. The gas cost here in the EU is much higher. The taxes associated to large petrol engine have been a big roadblock for pickups penetration. Europeans has historically been much more sensible to overall consumption and running costs compared to other parts of the world. And I believe this played a major role in limiting the penetration of pickups. The second aspect is related to size. Roads here in Europe are much smaller than in the US, and has been designed to be used by small and medium sedans or hatchbacks. Cities are very old, and roads in the city centers are extremely narrow, sometimes to the extent that it can be hard to navigate them with a medium-sized SUV. You can well imagine that a 6-meter long beast would be very impractical. Besides, most of the commercial functions that in the US is carried through pickups, here are done with medium-sized commercial vehicles like the one that you see here in the picture. They have zero comfort, but the loading capacity is much bigger than a pickup, and they get the job done with a cost that is relatively low. So can we go as far as saying that the Cybertruck is doomed in Europe? I am not so sure, and here's why. We need to look at the situation from a different angle, and there's a way in which Cybertruck could actually become a blast in Europe as well. The full-size SUV market in Europe is quite large and currently lacks a compelling EV offer. Tesla Model X cannot really be considered a full-size SUV, so the offer is really limited to few Audi and BMW's models, like the Audi Q8 e-tron or the BMW iX, both sitting at 5 meters and above the 90k euro mark. If you need something bigger, your only alternative could be the Mercedes EQS at 5.2 meters, but coming at a hefty price tag starting at 125k euros. To get something above 5 meters without breaking the bank or buying a minivan, the only option remains the new Kia EV9 at 5.1 meters and a starting price of 67,000 euros. The interesting aspect is that to one extent, most of the actual consumers do not need these large vehicles in Europe, as they won't need a pickup. But SUV became widely popular as status symbols. They are impractical, it's difficult to park them, you have limitations for entering in many underground parking lots, but still people are in love with these cars because they shout wealth. So the right question for me should be the following. Can the Cybertruck replace full-size SUVs in the hearts of our European consumers? For me, the answer is yes. It's exactly what these people are looking for. A vehicle that shout, "Look at me, how cool I am." And this most likely with a lower price point, better performance, and without all the pollution taxes associated to large SUVs. So how big then the size of the prize could be? Here are the first wow numbers, guys. The top 10 large SUV last year sold in Europe 220,000 units, while the total market for this segment is around 330,000 units a year. If we add to this the 50k pickups already sold, the potential market is around 400,000 units a year. Not too shabby, I would say. And if we assume that Cybertruck could get, let's say, to 30% market share, then we are talking about 100 to 120,000 units a year, which is almost half of the planned capacity. Would this then be interesting for Tesla? Hell yeah! Maybe to the extent of having a dedicated production line in Berlin sometimes down the line. So should Tesla pursue this opportunity, or should they first fill in the US backlog? Should they bother at all about Europe? The answer is not so obvious, and it will depend on many factors, starting from the capex allocation, but also the branding strategy. In my view, they should, also because in this way I could buy one, but also for some other reasons that I will explain now. First, I think the Cybertruck would be a walking advertisement in an extremely competitive market like Europe. It would literally dwarf all the other large SUVs in size, performance, look, you name it. Second, it would finally close the conversation about electric vehicles being good only as city cars. And third, and maybe most importantly, it would further expand Tesla mental availability with European consumers. This means that many of those seeing a Cybertruck could become interested in the Tesla brand and eventually add it to the list of consideration brand for the next purchase. And even if then they would end up buying a small sedan like the Model 3 or a small SUV like the Model Y, then it's a win-win for Tesla. So in summary, I don't think the Cybertruck will be as big in Europe as in the US, but I believe it could easily sell 100,000 units a year, and by doing so, it will make Tesla brand stronger and the transition to EV faster. But as I said, it's a big strategic decision for Tesla, as it will require a slightly different positioning and a different target audience compared to the US. For today, that's all, and if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Until next time, ciao, see you guys!